You need to stop that stuff. You need to cut it out. Because the only thing you're doing is reinforcing the anxiety that you feel. And that anxiety will manifest itself in performance anxiety. And I went back to nightmare, nighttime, anxiety, and pushing the edge too hard and losing sight of why I was even doing it. Until I tapped into what was doing the best in terms of keeping me on point. Positive self-talk. I would tell myself, think about what she said to you. And look how the effect it had over you. And I learned to do that practice of self-talk. I would tell myself, there's no emergency. See, anxiety comes when you're trying to live up to everyone else's expectations or wants on their schedule, on their timing. Folks, you're never going to be comfortable in that situation. You're never going to be satisfied because you're trying to live your life to please other people instead of finding someone that's in love with you as you are. You don't need to change. You don't need to outperform what they fell in love with. And I found myself trying to do that with Shannon. I wanted to top everything, always had it, always better, always better, always better. And her girlfriend, Ginger's boyfriend, hated me, he wanted to beat me up. Now, to be honest with you, I would spin kicked his fucking ass and knocked his ass out then. But he wanted to fight me because his girlfriend was telling him all the time, why don't you do that? And now I was like, oh shit, here it is. I'm in deep water. So I became a toxic thing around them when I wasn't doing anything except for trying to do what I felt I needed to do, which is outdo what I ever did before to impress and make Shannon realize how much I love her and how much I'm pouring into her. If I was with my first wife and I had that kind of money coming in, I would have been taken advantage of like crazy. It would have been like holding on to a losing trade and giving it more money. All right, well, I'm down $10,000. Let's just buy 5 more contracts. Let's just average into it. So I thought about what she gave me, and I hold on to it every day today. I think about those words. I hear her voice exactly as she said it. And it makes me feel good every time I think of it. It makes me feel good. It encourages me. It reminds me that, you know what? I believe that was the Lord just tapping me and saying, listen, I've been trying to tell you your entire teenage life, this is where you're supposed to be at. So I had to use her to get your attention. So he got my attention, obviously. I didn't handle it well, mismanaged some of it, but I changed my perspective to stop dwelling on the nightmarish aspects of life and focusing on the dreamscapes. Being highly organized, very, very, very detail-oriented, I started changing the way I did my journals. See, in my life journal, I would close my day and be like, man, I had such a wonderful day with Shannon. I had a wonderful day doing this, and Shannon was always in the middle of it. Contrast that with my trading journal. It was like, man, I effed this up. I don't know why this isn't working. Why the F am I doing this all the time, losing money on this type of setup? Why did I chase that? Why did I go in there doing too many contracts? I should have never listened to that article in Commodity Magazine. What was I doing? Constantly beating myself up. So what's my subconscious going to do? Well, I only find happiness in Shannon. And I'm not happy trading. I'm miserable in trading. So what happens? When I put a trade on, am I going to feel good and empowered? No. I don't have Shannon anymore. My support structure is gone. So I had to replace her words of encouragement and accountability aspect with my trading journal. And everything was a dreamscape in that. Sure, I probably lost a trade. I went in and tried it again, still lost on that one. But I would go in and say, you know what? I'm thankful that I had this opportunity to learn 2 lessons today that cost me money. So there's value behind it now. I had to pay a price for this information. Now you can bitch and kick and scream and say, I don't want to lose. I want to find a model that never loses. Let me tell you a secret, okay? If you're writing things down, write this down. Every trading approach or model is perfect. It's perfect. It's flawless. It doesn't have any losing transactions. Bet you never realized that, have you? Every system, every application, every indicator, every buy and sell indication you would get as a trader, no matter what you use, it's flawless until you go in and F it up. You can flip a quarter. Heads you buy, tails you short. Or simplify it like this. When you're bullish, if it comes up heads, you'll take action and engage. If it comes up tails, don't take the trade. Only risk 1/4%. Over a year, you're gonna make money. Don't believe me? Test it. Test it. Because you're removing the emotions. You're removing the outward stimuli that's causing you to take a trade with more contracts as you should. We mess it up because we're holding on to toxic baggage. The last 5 trades, man. You don't know, ICT. You weren't there, man. I'm at the verge of blowing my combine or losing my funded account. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. I've never traded those sim prop firm company accounts, but I've been there. I've been there where I'm at the point where the account's going to be blown. I'll have to add more money. I've been there. But you have to sweet talk yourself. Remember, you got to be honest, like I was with her. And she reciprocated sincerely and encouraged me. That's exactly what you do in your trading journal. You have to love yourself. You have to care about yourself enough not to talk down to yourself. Do not punch down on your developing future self. If you do that, you're going to stagnate and stunt your growth. And you're going to make it miserable as you go through it. You want to make it longer than it has to be? Talk toxic in your journal. Share your journal with someone else. And you're going to set yourself up for ruin. You got to be honest. Be able to pour yourself out in these journals. Sweet talk yourself. Start looking through the lens of a dreamscape where there's nothing negative. You ever notice in a dream, a good dream, there's no villains? Think about that. There's no, well, something bad could have happened here. That stuff doesn't happen, does it? What is your brain telling you? It's removed all of the toxicity of the everyday living. And it's focusing on nurturing you. That's what that good dream is doing. It's therapy for yourself because you're going through something. And then you have nightmares. When you have nightmares, when things are going good. Why? Because deep down inside, you're afraid shit's about to go tits up. That's how the brain works. I've never had a bad dream. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Because I had a bad day. They always happen when I had a good day and I went to sleep and my brain was readying myself for, okay, eventually this is what's about to happen to you. You're tied up on a railroad track and the guy's laughing, grinning over top of you, and he's got his boot on your neck laughing. He's going to jump out of the way before the train gets here and he's going to run you over. Really far extreme, obviously, but it's just to make light of not something funny. But we wrestle with that. And because I have a very, very aggressive mind, it's a hyperactive brain, I easily lose attention on something because my mind's going 1,000 miles an hour, constantly. I'm always dealing with a thought or some concern jumping in ahead of the front of the line. And I feel like unless I'm highly organized, I spend my time anxiously worrying about not managing the ideas that jump in front of me. That's what a hyperactive, creative mind does. But see, today they'll call it that attention deficit. You're retarded. You're something wrong with you. You're not. In my earlier years in school, I sucked at my grades because this was not, I knew enough that I'm not going to do this stuff when I get out. Like, this is all dumb. Challenge me with something. And when I started learning computer programming, suddenly, math and science, I excelled in. English, not so much. Social studies, not so much. But math and science, bam! I'm staying over after class. Math teacher looked at me like, don't you do anything outside of school, like baseball? I said, yeah, I did. I dropped that. I want to learn this. I was learning basic language. Why? Because it interested me. So if you were going through school and you felt like, well, I didn't do good in school, it's not because you're a loser. It's not because you're stupid or you're retarded or you have some learning disability. You have a supercharged brain. God blessed you with a brain that's absolutely phenomenal. He gave you something that he knows if you listen and obey what he's laying in front of you as opportunities to use it, you're going to do things way beyond the average person. Way beyond it. But this world's lying to you, saying, yeah, you got a learning disability. Let me put you on some medication. Because they want to make you stupid with the medication. They want to dumb you down. That's what they do. Everybody, look, let me tell you something. My youngest son, we had him assessed, and he said, well, he has a learning disability. And I said, he ain't getting no medicine. And I'll homeschool him, thank you. This boy has the most beautiful creativity and imagination. You give him anything, paper, wood, plastic, metal, he can put things together and shape things and sculpture things. And like he made a puppet, a hand puppet, okay, when he was 5 years old. And my wife and I were like, what in the world? And I'm not talking about like a sock with some buttons taped on it. Like, he went through the whole process of making it, and there was no website that taught him. He just sat down in his brain and said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this, cut up an old t-shirt here, use this stick over here from a pennant flag to use to make one of the arms move around. And he, on his own, he did that. Retarded, stupid, held back, unequipped brains don't do that. Okay? But that's what the world will tell you. They're constantly beating you down. They're constantly beating you down. And then here you are, just like I did. I'm taking that mentality and placing it right in my journal. Why are you wasting your time talking down to yourself? You need to stop that stuff. You need to cut it out. Because the only thing you're doing is reinforcing the anxiety that you feel. And that anxiety will manifest itself in performance anxiety. You can learn every possible scenario to trade with my material or anyone else's, and theoretically know exactly how to do it. But because you're holding on to things that are toxic, but you won't admit it. You won't say, yeah, I'm doing that. Why? Because you're in love with the normalcy of it. See, it's normal to you to hold on to that toxicity. That's why abusive relationships last as long as they do. Because they lie to themselves. You know what? I probably don't deserve anything better than this anyway. At least I'm getting fed. At least I have a roof over my head. It could be worse. I could be homeless. And we do that same thing. We rationalize the poor excuse of studying, the poor excuse of back testing, forward testing, tape reading, before we actually put real risk behind the trade. And then we make a mistake, we kick ourselves in the teeth. And if that ain't bad enough, you solidify it and you talk down and you vilify yourself in that journal and you think that you're doing something constructive. You are. You're constructively tearing down any future chance of you succeeding doing this. And if that hurts, good. Let it sting, because you have to know that what you're doing, if you're doing that, it's wrong. It's wrong. You're holding yourself back. You're stunting your growth, and you're filling your mind with, instead of creativity, instead of saying, well, this is what I've been doing. In the last 6 trades, it's been a losing trade, so I know this stuff doesn't work. There has to be some kind of angle. ICT's got to be some kind of a fraud. He's paying these people to put out there like they're making money. It's all fake. It's all fraud. You start thinking about this silly shit and you think it's real because you have to make an accountability outside yourself. It's something outside of you instead of it's you.